Over the weekend I started using redonkulous when referring to bad things. I don't know where I picked it up from. Probably some video I watched. My dad did actually stick me in some debate club thing for Wednesday afternoons, which I gotta say, I'm not excited about. Monday morning I spent a bit of time watching some videos, then I went to school. I saw green hair and half hair talking. Half hair must have said something wrong because green hair ran away and she just stood there. I asked what happened and she said she thinks fast dogs is real, so I called her stupid and continued my way to school. I reminded Gihei that she's still disgusting, after I found a present with 100 yen in it near Hondo. I told Hondo about how stupid half hair is to believe in ghosts and stuff, and she sided with her, saying it's a possibility. Trying to redeem her in my mind, I brought up Gihei and Hondo said she's disgusting, but then went on about how sport is stupid. Went into the gym to do some stretches. But then Hondo came up to me and started going on about Ikebana being amazing. We got into an argument about it, so I decided to be the bigger person and leave. I sat in the stairwell and glared at Hondo, who decided to follow me, even though I told her not to. I overheard that blue guy talking to the redhead and decided to join in. Saikaku said she's friends with him, so he can't be that bad. And then the second thing he said was something perverted. I told him he was disgusting and he tried to justify it, so I ran up the stairs to the roof. It was warm and bright up there. I was almost enjoying myself until Hondo came up. I glared at her and walked to the far side of the roof. Again, I was almost enjoying the view when that pervert appeared right behind me. I screamed at him and punched him in the chest before running to class. It's not that I don't like Hondo anymore. I just needed a break after our argument, but now I know she doesn't respect that. Saikaku still hasn't shown up, so I ran around looking for her. I went into the locker room and saw a girl I hadn't bothered to notice. I stood next to her trying to read her vibe, and when I tried to talk she did too. I tried again and found she likes music and jokes. Doesn't like manga or school. The bell went and she said something as she was leaving, but I didn't really catch it. I forgot to get her name, but she was pretty okay, had a lisp and talks in third person, but I could understand her. Before going into class I made sure Saikaku was there, so after class I could instantly start talking to her. We talked about school for a while before she asked if I had talked to Shisaku, the blue guy, and I told her all about how disgusting he is. I got her opinion on Ikebana, and we talked about our favorite stretches. Through the door I saw that girl I had been talking to Hondo. I stood a good distance from them in the hall to listen to their conversation, but they didn't talk, except for one little thing about video games. After gym I overheard Saikaku talking about Shisaku again. And even though he's obviously a massive pervert, I decided to give him one more chance. I asked his opinion on people that believe in the occult and he agreed with me that they're done. I was almost able to grant him a full second chance, but then Saikaku gave me a compliment and Shisaku instantly asked what I used to pleasure myself. I stood there stunned for a few seconds before sprinting to class. I watched the class for most of the last class, and as soon as it hit 3 p.m. I sprinted out of the school and skated as fast as I could home. I started up a live stream and spent the first half venting out how disgusting some people are. Then I moved on to playing some remastered games that weren't even good. Afterwards I did my nightly stretches with Miss Flat Feet, watched some videos, showered, then went to bed. I got ready in like 20 minutes and got out of my house as quick as I could, which is normal for me now. I went through the back entrance of the school and got onto the rooftop. Like yesterday, it was nice and warm up there. I watched my non-classmates and teachers walk around below me. I guess it gave me an ego boost, but I'm not that considered. I think I know why I'm having issues with the people here. It's the end of the year, so everyone's probably over it already. They don't see the point in meeting someone new, so I guess I just need to apply myself more, make them know I'm worth talking to. Of course I wouldn't have to even think about that if my stupid sister hadn't gotten sick and needed to come here. I was about to talk to some guy I had seen around when Gihei ran over. I moved away but stayed within earshot. Then Gihei walked away and I ended up having to leave because Hondo was running at me. I tried to talk to that girl that I met yesterday, but she ran away after a few words. Luckily I found her later on in a little reading area I hadn't seen before. I talked to her for a little while until the bell went, but it just felt really tense. After the first class I heard half hair talking about not liking school, but when I brought it up she said it isn't too bad. I saw Saikaku in a group of 4 people, so I went over and asked how they all felt about Ikebana. 2 of them didn't like it, 1 guy liked it, and that girl I've talked to was neutral. Technically the majority was with me, so I kept talking about it. If that guy disagreed he could just leave. Saikaku introduced me to the red-haired girl I was talking to, Noriyori Akuro. She's pretty cool I guess. After the next class I even kept talking to her. I saw Saikaku talking to that guy with long hair that she decided to ignore me over the other day. So I went over and involved them in Noriyori and I's conversation. But this femboy kept telling me I was being dramatic for having an opinion. Luckily I got him to go away and I told Saikaku she has a way better friend than him, being me, obviously. After film studies I continued talking to Saikaku and Akuro. We only had one issue which was Noriyori complimenting Shisaku. I've seen them talking before so this wasn't really a surprise so I gently told her that he's a creep and she should watch her back around him. After school I talked to Noriyori for a bit before heading to the shop, getting some food, then going home, where I reviewed some of the only interesting things we talked about today, before spending a couple hours live streaming. Then I went back to reviewing topics, before I watched some videos, then live streamed once again, showered, then went to bed. Unfortunately I have that debate class this afternoon. I really don't need it but I hope someone from this school is there because I'm not up for meeting new people today. I was running around the outskirts of the school just checking the place out when I spotted Noriyori coming in from the back. We said hello to each other and started to talk about fitness. Noriyori's really into it which is weird to me because she's super skinny. I wonder if she eats. Honestly I hope she does. It'd be weird if she didn't. After a while that weird guy with blue skin ran over to us. Today he had fake horns on and he started complaining about music like either of us cared. Then he tried to convince me to like him by agreeing that stretching is a good thing. So I humored him for a second before he completely ruined the mood by talking about how disgusting he is. I tried to ignore it because it's on 7:30, but every word that came out of his mouth pissed me off more and more. Then he called me a drama queen and that pushed me to my limit. I punched him in the face and kicked him up the stairs yelling at him to leave. Noriyori stared at me shocked for a while before saying something about Saikaku. I don't know what it was. I was so mad, and then, so worried that someone was going to tell my dad. After my first class I went over to Hondo and started talking to her. She didn't bring up what happened this morning so I'm hoping this school isn't as bad with rumors as my last one. But she was still stuck on our argument so I went to Saikaku who was unfortunately near Shisaku. I gave Saikaku a compliment for coming to class and Shisaku gave some backhanded remark so I shoved him and told him to leave but then, he pushed me back. It turned into a whole fight and in the middle of it, that guy, who I barely even know came in talking about porn. I screamed at him and threw him against the wall. Shisaku tried to hold me back but I landed a good swing on him just as a teacher walked in. She chastised me and let Shisaku go free. She wouldn't even let me explain myself. I was in the right, I know it. Guys like that just go on to hurt women. Gym ended and I heard someone behind me mumbling. I hadn't noticed yet surprisingly since whatever was wearing a crown. I decided to ask their feelings on music and we started getting along. They told me they don't have many friends and are nervous about school because they only came in halfway through the year. And I came in later so we could level on that. Their name is Saburo Kyochi. I talked to them for the entire first break. After the next class I kept talking to them and Takaneo, who I finally learned the last name of. We mainly talked about sport and that guy that's always dressing like a girl kept listening in and trying to talk to us. I didn't let them get an answer though. As soon as the last class ended I ran out of the school and went to that debate class. It starts only 15 minutes after the school day ends which is such terrible timing. I was at the class for 2 hours. There was 6 other people there, 4 girls and 2 boys, Mei Katashi, Ishihara Minori, Saito, Hiroshi, Aki Hasegawa, Abe Jun, Nakazawa Sumiko. We were split into 2 groups of 3, me Katashi and Hiroshi as group 1, and Minori Hasegawa and Jun as group 2. We had to debate about 3 topics and Sumiko judged us on how well we did. The other group ended up winning but it was an okay first day. But then I left the building and my dad was waiting outside with his car. I wanted to just run to the bus stop, but there was no bus there and he saw me see him. The school had told him about the fight. I wanted to stay home and cuddle my cat, but Miss Flatfeet was taken from me last night, so there was no cat to cuddle and no reason to stay home, even with how bad I felt and how much my body hurt. I still had to be at school on time. I waited around a shop for it to open and the longer I waited the more nervous I got. There were other shops open but this one had actually lunch food. Eventually my hunger and the time got to me so I went to a different shop and ate natto and chocolate cake for breakfast, which made me feel absolutely disgusting. While walking around the school I spotted Hondo and Gihei talking. I casually leant against the wall and listened in. On any other day I would have confronted Hondo about talking to a pervert like Gihei, but they were standing a good distance away, and weren't talking about stuff like that, so I decided to save my breath. Eventually they left and I saw Takaneo running to the reading area. I followed her worried that she was running from someone. But when I got there she was alone and seemed fine, even made a few stupid jokes which I think I hated more than usual. Still though we talked for about 30 minutes until it was time for film studies. Once that class was over I listened in on Saikaku and Noriyori talking to Shusaku, for safety reasons. Then I went and talked to Takaneo again. But I was really distracted by that black-haired guy making fun of As soon as break started I heard Gihei trying to spread rumors about someone. Even though I barely know whoever she was talking about morally I had to tell her to get lost. Then Hondo went up to Gihei and confronted her about her perverted views, telling her she didn't want to hear about the stuff she enjoys, which filled me with a lot of pride. But Gihei just completely ignored her wishes. I went and sat by myself in the courtyard to eat, and after Hondo finished her argument she came over to talk to me. She said she likes how my hair looks down. We were having a nice conversation and one of the guys I hate tried to insert his weird fantasies, but Hondo got him to leave instead of me having to do it. I think we've definitely put that argument aside. But after the second last class ended that guy started mocking Hondo and I's fight. I don't know how he heard about it. Maybe I was wrong about the rumor mill at this school. Once he left Saikaku and Hondo came over and started talking to me, as well as the femboy, unfortunately, and all he could do was disagree with everything brought up. But there wasn't much time to talk between classes. I got to our last class before everyone else, and as I wandered around waiting for the teacher I found a bottle of seishu. I didn't think I was one for stealing, but when the teacher opened the door I panicked and took it. It's not like a teacher should have alcohol anyway. I made it though the last class and went to talk to Takaneo, but Hondo came over and insulted her. I tried to defuse the situation by talking about music. It only really worked when Hondo went and talked to Gihei. I don't know why she's still trying to get along with her. I tried to go to that shop again, but it was closed, so once again I had to buy snack foods. At home I did more streaming. I made no money and everyone kept asking if I have a boyfriend, so I watched a bunch of videos, ate, had a shower, then went to bed, dreading the weekend alone.
Hello, episode 2 already done. That's pretty cool. The next video should be the sexuality and gender video, hopefully. I hope you've been enjoying this. Stay safe, stay happy, please subscribe and goodbye.